You think hospitals are places of healing. But at night, they turn into something else entirely. Long hallways echo with sounds no one can explain. Patients speak to people who aren't there. Machines beep without reason, in rooms that are empty. Tonight, we're stepping inside those dim, fluorescent-lit corridors, where nurses, the real night watch, share what they've seen, and wish they hadn't. These are their stories. And once you hear them, you'll never look at a hospital the same way again. The Whispering ICU. Nurse Kara, 12 years in Trauma ICU, Texas. It always started after 3 a.m. Not every night, just the strange ones. I'd be charting at the nurse's station, half listening to the monitor beeps, when I'd hear it. Whispering. But not from a patient room. It was coming from the storage closet. The weird thing. That closet had no vents, no windows, no intercom. But I'd hear it, like voices layered over each other, talking fast, in a language I couldn't place. One night, I opened the door. It stopped. The room was freezing, like I'd stepped into a walk-in freezer. I checked with maintenance. No wiring, no leaks, no explanation. And when I mentioned it to the other nurses, they just gave each other a look. One of them finally said, "We hear it too. Just don't answer it." The Boy in the Waiting Room. Nurse Paul, Pediatric ER, Michigan. We keep the main entrance locked after midnight. Visitors have to ring a buzzer, and security lets them in. One night, I walked past the waiting area, and I saw a kid, about 7 or 8, sitting perfectly still, hands in his lap. I asked security when they let someone in, but they swore no one had come through. When I turned back, the boy was gone. I checked the footage later. You can see me walking in, looking at something, talking to it. But the camera shows no one. I swear to you, I saw that boy. And this part is hard to say. I saw him again, 2 weeks later, in Trauma Bay 3, standing behind a mother whose child was coding. He smiled at me, and then disappeared. Bed 17. Nurse Aisha, Long-Term Care Unit, Louisiana. Bed 17 was always a problem. Patients assigned there would deteriorate fast. Some were stable, even healthy. But within days, they'd be confused, aggressive, and then gone. We joked it was cursed. But one night, we weren't laughing. The patient, an older woman, kept staring at the ceiling, whispering, "They're watching." I looked up. Nothing there. But when I turned off the light to help her sleep, she screamed. I flipped the lights back on, and there were deep scratches on her arms. No nails. No sharp objects. We moved her to another room the next day. She calmed instantly. That bed stayed empty for months. But then a new admit came in. Admin said we had no choice. Within 48 hours, he died. No cause ever found. The bed is still there, covered in plastic. No one uses it now. The code blue that didn't happen. Nurse Devon, Cardiac Ward, New York. 2:47 a.m. The code blue alarm went off. Room 304. I was closest. I ran. The door was shut. Lights off. I opened it, and the room was empty. Not just unoccupied. It hadn't had a patient in 3 weeks. No one else was on the floor yet. I stood there, trying to process what just happened, when the intercom clicked on. A voice, low, raspy, said, "He never made it out." I sprinted to the nurse's station. Security checked the intercom logs. Nothing recorded. But here's the kicker. The last patient who died in that room? Heart failure. 2:47 a.m. Exactly 1 year earlier. Something in the mirror. Nurse Leah, Private Hospice Facility, Oregon. Hospice work is heavy, but it can also be peaceful. Except one night. My patient, Mr. Halloran, was nonverbal in his final hours. He hadn't moved in days. I stepped in to check vitals, and he was staring into the mirror. Not at his reflection. Past it. I followed his gaze, and I saw a figure, tall, thin, wearing black, standing behind me. I spun around, no one there. When I looked back at the mirror, it was just me. Mr. Halloran exhaled and passed away. We covered the mirror after that. Not protocol. But the next nurse said she swore she saw something in it too. Something waiting. The psychology of fear. Why do these stories feel so real, even if you've never experienced them? It's because hospitals heighten our senses. Sterile smells. Repetitive sounds. The stillness of the sick and dying. Nurses are trained to stay calm, but they're also deeply empathetic. When emotions surge, grief, dread, hopelessness, the mind starts to interpret anything unusual as a threat. But what happens when multiple people witness the same thing, and there's no logical explanation? Then we're not talking about imagination. We're talking about the unknown. The Laughing Patient. Nurse Tara, Geriatric Psych, Pennsylvania. He was sweet, at first. Mr. Jensen. 84. Dementia. Then one night, he wouldn't stop laughing. 4 hours. It wasn't joyful. It was wrong. At one point, he whispered to me, "She tells me jokes in the wall." I thought it was part of the illness. But then another patient, in the next room, started crying. He said, "Tell her to stop whispering through the vents." Security came in. Mr. Jensen looked at us and said, "You're next." He died that night. The next shift. One of the nurses quit. She said she heard someone giggling behind her every time she passed that hallway. Real fear, real people. These are not stories from horror films. These are confessions. From real people. Working through long nights. In places that should be safe. But something else walks the halls. Something that can't be explained. So the next time you visit a hospital at night, look a little longer at the mirror. Listen a little closer to the walls. And remember, nurses know what they saw, even if no one believes them. Have you ever experienced something chilling during a hospital visit or night shift? Share your story in the comments. Or submit it anonymously, link in the description. And if you made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We post new tales of the unexplained every week. This is the Whisper Loop. Stay alert, and don't look away.